Good morning, staff and students at North Geelong Secondary College, and welcome to 2018 alumnus, Ahmad Qadri. How are you, Ahmad?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Ahmad is currently studying in his second year at the University of Melbourne. He's studying a Bachelor of Arts, majoring in international politics and in Islamic studies and philosophy. He's also completing a concurrent diploma in Arabic. Let's take you back to your secondary school years first. What type of student were you? Can you give us insight into the type of student you were and perhaps some of the subjects you particularly enjoyed?
So in high school at North Geelong, obviously I was sort of an extroverted student. I'm still an extroverted person. I was always very confident in class, especially the humanities, which is obviously my field now that I'm studying. I reckon for the first few years of my schooling, for pretty much all my schooling, I was quite annoying to teachers because of my lack of shyness, I guess. But I think when really from year 10 onwards, I started getting more of a clearer vision of what I wanted to do, and that it was serious for my future to focus on, and also because you get to start to choose subjects after that. So I was able to choose subjects that I enjoy rather than being in classrooms that I didn't really want to be in. So I think beyond that, I became more studious than before. I was still quite confident, and I was very happy to share my ideas and thoughts in class, and my teachers will probably remember that. Especially when I got to VCE, I loved politics and English, literature, history, and legal studies.
Good, and I'm sure teachers remembered you fondly. I think you're probably too hard on yourself saying that you're annoying. I'll have to ask. So can you think of a proud moment during your secondary schools and potentially a missed opportunity?
Proud moment, I think I have many proud moments. I think at school I have a lot of fun memories. One was obviously, I think, year 9, I got a high distinction in the national geography competition. Debating was another thing. Every time I won a debate for school, the school debate team, that was always a great moment. I think I try not to look at things that I regret, because I think that in terms of future students, in terms of the future of the students, and the advice I would give is okay, when you look back at school and you think that I should have done this, I should have done that, then I think you adapt. You adapt to whatever sort of outcome that happens to you, whatever results you get. You adapt and you learn to find a way. However, there's obviously, as a human being, I think there's things which I look back upon now, with my studying now. I think that if I paid more attention in German and mathematics, and actually even science, to be honest, which are the 3 subjects. So I used to mess about in. I used to really chill with my friends rather than. But I think now it's important you pay attention in all your classes, because you don't know when it's going to help you in the future. In terms of language, I very much missed out on that, because I think German is obviously the language that we learn at North Geelong. I think they also have other languages now as well. But I think if I learned German, there's a lot of German philosophers, and I would have loved to read them in the original language of German. And I think also it would have helped me, given me a boost in Arabic as well, because if you learn a language before and you learn another language, then you already know how grammar and what how those things work. So, for example, now that I'm learning Arabic, not only do I need to learn Arabic, but I need to understand English grammar first. I need to be able to understand what a subject and the predicate and an object of a sentence is. You need to understand this. So I think, my advice to myself and to others would be that try to pay attention in all your classes. Even if you don't enjoy it, try to learn it in a way where you can enjoy it, because that's another thing. Like, I feel like schools, in some ways, they can improve their way of teaching through alternate ways of learning. For me, I think if I learn, for example, the history of mathematics and learn more about figures in mathematics, like for example, if I learned about Pythagoras before learning Pythagoras' theorem, I think I would have been a lot more inspired to learn Pythagoras' theorem. Not that I didn't learn it. It was actually one of the things that I wasn't bad at.
Yeah. So that's obviously your interest area, knowing the history and the background to something before you learn the concepts related to that.
It's inspiring, I think.
Yeah.
It's inspiring. Yeah. For me, like that's one of my biggest inspirations is figures from the past, my history.
Let's look at what you're doing now, the course that you're studying. You're in your second year at Melbourne University. Can you just tell us a bit about your course, what you enjoy most about it, or maybe what you enjoy least about the course that you're studying?
My course, I've wanted to do political science since I was 12 years old, I think, which I don't think is very helpful because I think a lot of students don't know what they want to do. But I suppose the advice I can give in terms of that is to find your passion. I was lucky enough to find my passion quite early on in my life. So in terms of my international politics, well, the reason why I became interested in international politics in the first place was I come from obviously a Muslim background, which this also ties into my Islamic studies field. Coming from a Muslim background, growing up, obviously post 9/11 era, there's a lot of Islamophobia and a lot of sort of Islam used to be in the headlines a lot. As well as that, there's a lot of war in the Muslim world right now. I think that's quite it's quite a stereotype that we've been sort of labeled with the Muslim community, the global Muslim community. So obviously, growing up, I used to see these headlines of wars and conflict and terrorism and stuff like that. And then I became sort of curious as to why, what's the background to these conflicts? What are the interests? Why do human beings act as such? And what role does my religion have to play in this? Because obviously, we're sort of conditioned to believe that your religion has, well, a lot of people believe that the religion has a big role to play in conflict, which I felt like wasn't true because obviously religion was something spiritual and sort of objectively correct and moral for me. So I didn't understand what correlation there was between immoral and unjust war and my religion. So that's what got me interested in studying international politics, really, mainly about security and war and how do countries go to war. I studied that also at VCE level, which was really great. We had many debates in class. There's many conflicting points of view, which I really enjoy. I enjoy speaking and stuff. So that was one part. In terms of philosophy, I think philosophy is a much more mature subject. You need to be a lot more mature to be able to study it. I think as I got older, my worldview was really sort of in conflict with some of my friends. I think I didn't have many Muslim friends, so we didn't share some of the same moral values. We didn't share some of the same views about reality and the fundamentals of reality in the universe and stuff. It sounds deep, but I think everyone actually goes through these phases of like existential questions, like the meaning of life and stuff like that. So these questions obviously derived from my religion, and then I sort of looked for rational ways to be able to prove these or even disprove them if I was wrong, find new ways of thinking. This is what led to my interest in philosophy. I didn't study philosophy at school, but I did study literature, and literature involves a lot of philosophy, same as English. I think students should know or should be taught about philosophy within English. I think that will be a lot more easier for them to understand and help them with their lives. so these three topics, yeah, it was really influenced by those through my life. In terms of my language, studying Arabic, obviously Islamic scripture is in Arabic, and obviously much of the Muslim world speaks Arabic, so that's useful to have. It's also just useful even to have another language. I would advise all students to learn a new language, because it actually, you know, you actually become, in my opinion, objectively more intelligent, because you're able to understand the world in a different way. In fact, there's actually a quote in the language building of the school that you're saying in, a quote by Charlemagne, which I don't forget because I used to see it as I used to come to my German classes, and it was when I used to go to my German classes, it was that to possess a language is to possess another soul. So, you know, that is, you know, you can possess another soul, as in you can understand a whole different culture and people. Yeah, so I think those four topics, and I think that's why I really study them. It's really just curiosity, and I think that should be the main driving factor. A lot of people make the mistake about going after money and wanting money, which is okay. Like if that's your passion, then you can make money. But I think money can be quite limiting, and yeah. So I think curiosity should be the passion. That's how it was for me.
And you mentioned before that you know, you weren't able to not relate, but you didn't have many Islamic friends, potentially when you were here at North Geelong. Since starting your course, have you found more like-minded friends that you can engage with and potentially debate with? How have you found that transition, I guess, from secondary school to university life in Melbourne, where, you know, Geelong's diverse, but not nearly as diverse as Melbourne? How did you find that whole process?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, yeah, I found many Muslim friends. I've made many more non-Muslim friends as well, with completely different views. Yeah, as you said, Melbourne is a much bigger place, so many different people. Just walking through a Melbourne street, you'll see how many different people are just by the way they dress. So in that sense, yeah, the transition for me was very good. I found very like-minded people. It reminds me actually of Frankenstein, in studying Frankenstein. I don't know if they're still teaching that now for VCE.
Sure. Yeah.
But we studied Frankenstein for VCE, and I remember one of the first things in that book is I forgot his name, but the main protagonist, he's writing a letter to his sister and complaining about a companion. I think I sort of related to that. I was like, I have obviously my friends in school, but in terms of an intellectual companion, I didn't have anyone that could, you know, I didn't have like Marx had Engels. I don't know if you guys are gonna get, if some people are gonna get that reference, but now I have my companions. Like I think I have the people who I can really intellectually engage with, and you know, like sort of have that Socrates and Plato relationship with. Yeah, so I think it's great. At the same time, you know, my friends from high school, they shaped who I am and what questions I ask. I think my views have changed as well since then. Obviously, when you meet new people and have new experiences, then your views do change. But for me, university, I think apart from putting intellect to one side as well, university for me has also been great in the sense that you have more freedom. Yeah, I think that's one of the greatest things. So you go from high school to university, you're able to choose when you want to do your classes. You can choose when to leave university, when to go to university. You can go. You pretty much at all times you can be with your friends. Obviously, you learn. You need to be able to make decisions whether if you study well with your friends or not. So I think that like a lot of students still understand why teachers sort of separate them sometimes. I was one of those people that was separated a lot from my friends in classes, and it makes you realize that, you know what, like you study better when you're on your own. Obviously, isolation will give a lot of experiences to students. So yeah, but I think university overall, as well as doing the things that I love, Like it's been great, the transition. I just like the format of lectures. I really enjoy the tutorials as well. So in university, there's obviously you have your lectures where just one expert on the subject really teaching you, and then you get to go and discuss those. So you're really engaged. I think sometimes in school, it's not really interactive. I think for 2 hours, sometimes you're just sitting there and just doing activities. You can't really talk and stuff. But I think university is really good in the sense that they've tried to make it interactive. So your learning comes from your discussion and your interaction with other students and the tutor. So yeah, I think it's very good in that sense. Yeah, I think though a negative is that because I will give a negative because I think I've been praising university too much. I think a negative is that that doesn't work obviously for everyone. It can be difficult, I know, for some students to be able to put themselves out there. I'm an extroverted person, so I think naturally I like it, but even I can be nervous sometimes. But I think that for the nervous people out there, like you need to sort of, be brave, and because nothing's gonna come to you in life if you're just quiet and reserved. So obviously that doesn't mean that you go out and you have to be like really talkative and stuff like that, but contribute and develop those communication skills and just be brave, because at the end of the day, the worst that can happen is people are going to judge you. And people I think already judge you. So to be honest, so yeah, and I think even getting a job and stuff like that, you need to be able to put yourself out there in order to be judged. You just got to make sure that the judgment is a correct one.
And do you find that choosing Melbourne University to attend was a good choice for you?
Yeah, so the story with that was I actually wanted to go to Deakin. I actually wanted to study law, right? Despite my passions. A lot of people told me study law because you're a good speaker, and that suits you. And then I wanted to go to Deakin, study law and international politics. Until some of my teachers, they said to me, if you want to study law, go to University of Melbourne. That's a better school. Your employability will be better and stuff like that. And then first I thought University of Melbourne, it's the top uni in Australia. There's no way I'm going to get enough marks for that. But then I looked at the required results. I thought, you know what? It's actually, I might as well have it as my number one choice. It's achievable. If not, I'll go to Deakin. Yeah. And I think that's important. Have your backups and stuff. But don't invest in your backup too much, because there's a saying from this poet. It's like if you have a commander, an army commander, and he invests more time and effort into the reinforcements, how would that make you feel as a frontline soldier? So you don't want to put too much effort into your backup, because backup, you're already putting yourself in the mind that you're going to fail. But if you have your number one target, which I did, at University of Melbourne, I ended up changing. Obviously, law at University of Melbourne, you can't directly enter. You have to do an undergrad and then do a professional degree. That's the same for nursing, teaching, and so on. So then I thought, you know what, I can achieve two passions here. I can do my philosophy, Islamic studies, and the politics passion, and then if I want to, I can do law as well. As it went on, obviously I got into University of Melbourne. It was easier than I thought. That's another thing. Like it wasn't as difficult. I think I probably could have got even higher results if I really, really, really completely blocked myself off from everyone. But I did get in quite comfortably, and I think from there I really fell in love with my course, and then I just want to do that for my whole life. Obviously, my ambition to become an academic and research in these fields. So I think another thing is my teachers put a lot of confidence in me. My teachers supported me. They said to me they thought I was capable of achieving this result. And yeah, so that's why I chose Melbourne University, and I think I'm very proud of that choice. My parents are very proud as well to get into that obviously prestigious university.
I'm sure they would be proud. Was there a particular teacher here at North Geelong that really pushed you or encouraged you? I'm putting you on the spot now.
Many teachers. There's the staff at North Geelong is great. obviously there's Katina Astles, Mr. Doyle, John Doyle, Darren Lawless, my English teacher, Miss Bridges, Miss Smith, who I think has left now, and obviously Cullinan, Miss Cullinan. Although she didn't teach me for VCE or my late years, I think she had a profound effect on my childhood from year 7 to year 9. She put a lot of confidence in me. She was the one that moved me to the SEAL Academic Achievers class, which in year 7. So that also either made me arrogant or or made me confident. But I think, yeah, like your teachers always have an effect on you. And I think all of the teachers, all of my teachers, even my maths teachers, yeah, like I remember like wanting to apologize to them for the sort of annoying person I was. But even then, you know, teachers are great because they don't. I've never had an experience of a teacher giving up or being sort of nasty to me. But all of those teachers, especially in the VCE year 12, that's when you need them the most. And for me, I had great teachers, and they actually improved me. Like I felt like I was making progress from the start of year 12 to the end of year 12. Even year 11, for example, you know, Mr. Doyle, before I knew Mr. Doyle, I didn't know how to write an essay. And I thought I did know how to write an essay until he gave me like a 50% or something in one of my essays. And then he sat down with me and he taught me how to properly write an essay. From then on, I got, I don't think, I very rarely got below 80% in my essays. So, and that's still going, you know, in university, that helps you because now even my university essays, I'm still achieving quite a lot. So, so teachers, you stay close to the teachers you like because they'll definitely help you.
Yeah, good advice. And I think so affirming for teachers as well. We often hear the negatives, but not so much the positives. So I'm sure they'll love hearing this.
I'm still in contact with them, actually. Sometimes I call up my global politics teacher. I'm like, you know, I'm doing this essay. What are your ideas? Yeah, so it's good. It's good in that way as well.
That's great to have that connection. So you've obviously become quite accustomed to university life, and you mentioned one of your emails to me that you are involved in volunteering at uni. Can you share some of your experiences and how these experiences have been of value to you?
Yeah, so obviously university, you have plenty of opportunities to volunteer. There's many clubs and societies. So the university student body is actually really made up of a union, and then the union is made up of societies and clubs of many different walks of life. And depending on your interest, you can join whatever society you want. So there's like a soccer society, there's religious societies, there's philosophical societies, there's astronomy clubs, there's ones for different dramas and shows and movies and so on. Yeah, so there's so many different clubs. And obviously, when you go to university, for those who are planning to go to university, I would definitely say get involved with the clubs, especially if there's not many of your friends going to the same university as you. Then definitely clubs and societies are the best way to meet people. So obviously, the University of Melbourne, I didn't know many of my friends weren't going to the university, so it was like a challenge for me to make new friends and find someone to hang out with and stuff. So I got involved with different clubs. I joined a lot of clubs. Just out of interest as well, I joined many clubs. Like obviously, I joined the Islamic Society. Being a Muslim, I thought finding those like-minded individuals. I got very invested in that, and now I'm on the committee for that for this year. And then actually, the president of that society has now asked me to be the next president, which is good.
Wow.
So yeah, so the Muslim Society, that's actually where I met pretty much all my friends at university, and I'm very close with it now. And if it gives you a sense of belonging, and it really gives you a good sense of identity. I also joined other clubs, not to the level where I joined the committee, but I go to, to the philosophy club for good discussions and debates, and so interesting to learn things, I guess, same as other religious clubs. The debating club was also something mainly for first year, which I went to So yeah, I think that is, and that also helps with your future job opportunities and prospects. I think that employers look a lot for how you've been volunteering, if you've been volunteering, how you've been volunteering, what you've been doing for the community. So definitely, it's important that you don't miss out on that, because having that or not having that actually will put you at a disadvantage. So yeah, I think it's similar to school as well. School, you have opportunities definitely to volunteer for different organizations, and obviously there are things within school. So yeah, I think always try and help the community, and not even just from a practical sense, not even just from a pragmatic sense in terms of getting a job, but I think we all have a duty to our community, sort of your whatever community you're part of, university, school, TAFE, whatever you know. I think everyone has a duty to contribute and give what they can to society.
Definitely. And just to finish, I could listen to you all day, but to finish, and you may have already given this advice because you have given some sound advice today. If you could give any advice to your teenage self, so to your 15, 16-year-old self, or to current students at North Geelong, what would that advice be?
Yeah, obviously, apart from the thing that I said before, as in paying attention to all your subjects, I would say that another thing I would say is to know your friendships. I think don't let your friends um, don't get caught up in having too much fun, I guess, because I think so, with friends, this is going to be like a bit of a shock to hear for some people, but like with high school friends, most people, not all people, but most people, they're not friends with their school friends for their whole life. Yeah, everyone sort of goes through their paths, and I'm not saying that this is definitely going to happen. Obviously, there's many cases where you have childhood friends and you stay friends with them, which is great. But I think, don't get caught up. For me, for example, with maths, right? I was with my friends through year 7, 8, 9 maths, yeah? And I never performed well in those years. When I got to year 10 maths, I was not with my friends. And I performed quite well. So I think obviously don't cut off from your friends and stuff like that. Definitely you gotta have friends, it's important. And they shape who you are, and it's very, very important. I think in terms of academia, which is the essence of school is academia, and you're there to achieve results, and it's not like just social. There's obviously a social part to it, but the main part is educating yourself, enriching yourself with knowledge. Focus on that as well. Goes on. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that response. And as I said, you obviously gave a lot of advice throughout the Q&A, answering some of the other questions, but some good advice to finish on. Thank you so much, Ahmad, for taking the time to be here today and to answer all my questions and to pass on your knowledge to current students. I'm sure particularly humanities students will get a lot out of hearing this, and hopefully one day when we're able to, we can have you back on site to talk face-to-face to a select group of students.